Our amazing educators, artists, arts organizations, proprietors, and learners that are in our community. Welcome, welcome, welcome to CommonTime Online's one of our main outreach efforts, where we like to come to you every week on Wednesday evenings for me, different times for some of you folks. Like I said, different strokes for different folks. I feel like that fits in here. To Wisdom Wednesday, which is where we like to spread the gospel, if you will, about arts education with some nice tips, tricks, and trends in the field and how those topics relate to the platform and the community and the ecosystem that we are building here at CommonTime Online, which is your home for an engaging live virtual arts education experience with world-class teaching artists from every corner of the globe. My name is Michael, and this week we are going to be talking about how to artistically engage learners over the summer holiday. We're going to talk about this from the perspective of a teaching artist who is looking to leverage their skills with CommonTime to share their art. We're going to look at this from the perspective of an educator who is trying to find ways to keep their students active and engaged even in the summer break. And we're going to also look at this from the perspective of an arts organization whose either your enrollment or your programming may slow down during these summer months. We're going to show you some ways that you can keep students engaged and then how those methods can connect back to what we're doing here at CommonTime. But first, some housekeeping. We have several events coming up on CommonTime. First, I'd like to start off with one of our great artists. His name is Adrian, and he is an orchestral conductor, composer, arranger, choral arranger, and conductor out of Europe. I think he's in Germany, to be exact. And he has something very special for the educators in our community. From the end of July throughout the month of August, he is offering two-part sessions, the first of which is orchestra conducting for educators. That's a two-part session on July 30th, second part on August 6th. Then he's offering a choral arranging for educators class, a part one on August 13th and part two on August 20th. As a band director, the conducting class is very important to me because when you're looking at professional development, and depending on what type of administrators you have, they may want you to go do something like differentiation, or they may want you to go to concept-based learning or positive discipline or service learning or things of that nature, or SEL, things that fit more of the mantra of the general education. But when it comes to us as educators, the arts can be very content specific. There are things like with other subjects, but there are things we do that other subjects don't even come close to doing. And if you are conducting ensembles, you should invest in some professional development to become a better conductor so that you can rehearse better, have better learning experiences, give better performances. And likewise, your administrator should accept that as professional development. And likewise, if you're coming into a school situation like myself, where we're a brand new school, there is no music library and the budget is tight, that choral arranging class is invaluable, especially if you're preparing musicals, if you are writing warm-ups, if you are writing things for your students to perform as a choir, if you are helping them make their own choirs, if you have kind of different configurations, in the international schools especially, you're not going to have those big, huge choir classes where it's maybe mandatory in the States or where you came from. Maybe you've got, 4 women and 2 men in a choir. How can you take a song that you want to sing and arrange it for that? Maybe you've got an all-male choir. How can you make a TTBB arrangement? He's going to be covering all those things and more in those classes. Next piece of housekeeping is the CommonTime Indigenous Music Festival is happening on the weekends in July. The first event that we're promoting as a part of this festival is a special Guchin concert with Jeffrey Levenberg, who is an American but lived and worked in Hong Kong for many, many years, where he picked up this beautiful instrument as well as some Mandarin and Cantonese. You don't want to miss it. It's a beautiful instrument. Whenever you hear movies or hear things and you hear that ding, 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 that sound, that's the instrument. It's kind of like, I'm not sure how many strings it has, but it's a string instrument. It has a diagonal set of bridges that separate it into like a short end and a long end, and it's played flat on two stands, and it goes across like this, and you play it like this with your fingers. Don't want to miss it. For more information and for the opportunity to get tickets to these events, head over to commontime.online/events. Okay, with that being said, let's get into it. Wisdom Wednesday, how to artistically engage learners over the summer holiday. And we're going to be speaking from the perspective of teaching artists. These are our people that are doing private lessons, doing group lessons. These are the people that are on the CommonTime platform delivering these sessions. And we're going to speak from the perspective of educators. These are people that are teaching in schools, teaching at arts organizations, and things like that. Then we're going to speak from the perspective of an arts organization. This is your local theater troupe. This is your piano lesson studio. This is your improv theater company. This is your photography class at the library every Thursday for middle schoolers. These are these types of things. So let's start with, for teaching artists, how to artistically engage learners over this break. So let's start with music. If you are teaching in-person private lessons or group lessons, this can be increasingly difficult when you get to these summer months. And I know a lot of private instructors and teaching artists who struggle making it through those months because students are traveling, students are going to baseball camp, students are going to sleepaway camp, students are going to grandma's for the summer. One of the best things that you can do to keep these students engaged is to take your studio virtual during the summer months and possibly beyond. This will cut down on makeup lessons. It will cut down on missed lessons. Ask yourself, violin teachers, how many times has a student missed a lesson because of transportation? Something as simple as transportation. Something that simple, and a child has now gone, possibly 14 days without experiencing one of their loves, their passions over something so trivial. So use CommonTime to offer virtual lesson offerings for your students, whether they're on vacation, whether they're in the car, on a road trip, whether they're out of the country, doesn't matter. How can CommonTime help you do this? If you sign up as an artist on CommonTime, CommonTime will handle your booking, your scheduling, and your payments. Also, the video conferencing. There are other video conferencing sites out there that are charging you money for these yearly subscriptions. And when you get to the summertime, they don't pay for themselves. But when you come to CommonTime, we have a platform and an infrastructure built for you to support you in that endeavor. Once again, offering these virtual lessons is a great flexible option for kids, and parents will love that they can continue doing this. Another thing you can do on the CommonTime platform, and just in general, is offer pre-recorded content to your students. Things that they can access, things that they can watch, engage with on their own time. Schedules are shifting during this time. We're not on our same set schedules. So having something that's asynchronous is a great way to keep your studio active and to keep students involved and engaged. Specifically with CommonTime, one option you have is you could take your lesson studio and turn it into an arts organization. For example, I could create an arts organization on CommonTime called Michael's Percussion Studio. And through that arts organization, you have the opportunity to sell pre-recorded content. So if your students are usually taking a weekly lesson that costs $30 or less an hour, you can now post content on your arts organization page and have them purchase an hour or 2 hours of pre-recorded content. Maybe you even change the price since it's not live, but it's just a great way to keep your income flowing and to keep these students engaged in a way that is asynchronous when we're dealing with all the ebbs and flows of the summer break. when you're making these pre-recorded lessons, you can even include Google Drive links where students can upload videos of them playing, upload videos of them responding to your video. They can even keep a journal where you can respond as well, and you can have kind of another form of communication through that journal. And this is a great asynchronous way for you to continue your instruction during this time. Students can use this journal to set goals for the new year, reflect on their learning, and all of this can take place when you turn your lessons operation, your teaching operation, your work as a teaching artist into an arts organization on the CommonTime platform. Another thing you can do, and a lot of these things will cross over into some of the other areas that we'll get into. So if you find myself repeating things, just bear with me. You can create courses using pre-made lessons. We spoke about the pre-made lessons last week, and this is essentially where you can say, for example, I have a beatboxing session. It's 1 hour. Primary students and lower secondary students love this. We learn the history behind beatboxing. We learn how to beatbox some grooves. We use some music tech to create our own grooves, and we have a little drum circle, all with beatboxing, and we improvise, and they learn something technical with the rhythms, and there's like a history and a cultural element to it as well. You can create a pre-made course like this to where the student can go to Michael Skillorn's artist profile on CommonTime and see, oh, here's a beatboxing class. Instead of building a fully custom learning experience, I can choose something that this person already has expertise in. It's something that is all the way fleshed out. You can see the exact outcomes and you can book that. But one thing that you can do to make this interesting is that you can actually create little mini courses or maybe a week-long summer camp that deals with these things. For example, you can have a course called choreography for beginners, teaching kids or students how to choreograph their own dances. And that could be a 5-hour course. And you could leave in the instructions that, hey, this is not 5 consecutive hours. This is a custom summer camp for you where you choose 1 hour each day during 5-day span, and you can attend this course. It's like a week-long little mini boot camp. And you could even say in the description of the course that this is only available the first week of July. You're going to delete the course after that Sunday, for example, or after a certain amount of time. And you can create these little summer camps, these little day camps, these little boot camps using that feature. For more information about the pre-made lesson feature on CommonTime, check out last week's Wisdom Wednesday when we went over just that. Okay, next is now this might be a little controversial, consider a non-music learning activity to engage students, like maybe virtual student meetups. What if you took all of your students and got them into a CommonTime room just to meet up and meet each other and talk to each other? Group goal setting sessions, group reflection sessions, things like this work on CommonTime and away from CommonTime for you to help keep your students engaged, even if they're not taking lessons throughout that time. Just the fact that they're thinking about music, they're still participating in a discourse about their art form, I think can be very important. And while the summer break can be a great time for rest, I think that it can also be a wonderful opportunity for reflection and also an amazing opportunity for future thought. And you can use these digital options, especially the ones I spoke to you about that align well with the CommonTime platform, that keep your students engaged, keep your revenue flowing, and make sure that you're not, reinventing the wheel every year. I've met teachers who are almost like restarting their business every year. Students aren't in school. There's no concerts at their high school band. Maybe they don't want to take saxophone lessons all summer. Having to go back and almost reacquire that business every August is a big ask, and it ends with a lot of uncertainty. So as a visual artist, a lot of the same ideas and concepts we mentioned before apply. But if you are a visual teaching artist. You can use your CommonTime profile to recruit private or groups of students for some summer sessions. Oftentimes, especially in schools, and I knew a lot of these type of teaching artists in New York, it's very common. You're going into schools and you're hosting these sessions with them. But when the schools are closed, what do you do as a teaching artist who's used to going into classrooms? What you can do is you can take that user base, you can come to CommonTime and you can create courses or you can create events and say, on July 23rd at 4 p.m., we're going to meet on CommonTime and we're going to do some arts and crafts. All you need is 3 different colors. It could be paint, it could be a marker, it could be crayon, and you need 4 sheets of construction paper and a stapler. We're going to create XYZ. And using these type of virtual offerings can help you kind of bridge that gap and make sure students are able to participate in their passion, even when schools are out. Likewise with music, you could use their pre-made lessons feature to offer 1-day, week-long, 3-day little mini camps for students where there's some type of outcome. And it's kind of like summer camp. And a lot of your students may or may not be traveling, and just virtual, and give them that opportunity, that space to still create can be so beneficial, not only for the student, but for you as well as the teaching artist. And similarly, theater and dance teaching artists can follow some of these same methods at creating a similar arts environment through this virtual space as an effort to continuously engage their students. As always, take your in-person offerings virtual to accommodate the flexible timeline that students are going to have. Once again, these pre-made lessons are a great way for you to create courses, create little camps, little boot camps. Consider, if you're a theater practitioner, having group table reads, weekend improv sessions, or even reflective emotional work where you're getting your students together, having them just interact with people in this space. And more with dance and theater, maybe you could even use this pre-recorded video feature as an arts organization, like we talked about, if you create an arts organization out of your business, to post choreography. You could even post $5, learn this dance, $10, download this video, learn this dance. And students can go get that, engage with it on their own time. And like I said earlier, you can include a Google Drive link where students can even record right into it. So you can even give them feedback and see what they're working on. Another tool that I've spoken about before is Flipgrid. You can include a Flipgrid link even where students can see your video there while they also can purchase it from CommonTime. And then you can give them feedback right there in the app. And it's a great way to keep learners engaged. And it's a great way, especially in the dance world, to offer your... And we know, like with the TikTok trends, these kids are dancing. Imagine if you took all of your summer ballet students who maybe aren't going to be taking lessons and you just offered them little $5, 30-minute breakdowns of different dances that they can do, how much they would appreciate that, how much parents would appreciate that. It gets them off YouTube, gets them off the phone, and gets them doing something that's aligned with their passions. That's how teaching artists can engage their students over the summer holiday. Let's talk to our educators now. Educators, if you're me, I don't want to engage anybody over the summer holiday. I'm trying to find ways not to be engaged myself because I need this break. But myself included, a lot of teachers do want to engage. And I have offered students in their final little newsletter some options of some digital tools they can use and some things they could do if they wish to participate musically this summer, but I hope they just get some rest. And for you educators, the CommonTime platform provides a unique opportunity to engage your students during the summer. One really cool way, something that you could do that offers your students flexibility and autonomy, is if your school becomes a CommonTime member, a CommonTime account for all of your students. Okay. Then with our new credits system, essentially what credits are is if a school, they can buy $200 worth of credits, and then those credits can be spent without you necessarily doing a point of sale each time you want to bring in a guest artist, filling out a purchase request each time, going to the bookkeeper or the accountant in the front office every single time. You can just front load these credits and then use them. It's kind of like if you play video games, how you can buy tokens, and then whenever you want a new game, you spend the tokens, don't have to pull out your credit card every time. If you do this, your students will be able to, at leisure, log into their student account, and you're going to have to mandate it. Maybe you tell each student you can book one lesson. Hopefully they're not abusing it. And those students can actually go on the CommonTime and say, you know what, I feel like playing my violin today. I have access to these credits. Let me just use the platform and book a violin lesson. Maybe this is something that's better for older students, or maybe even parents have the login information to the student account, not just the student. And likewise, you could continue to book artists to host events for your students. A great idea that I had would be a preschool tune-up. So if you want to give your students a refresher before they get into the school year, maybe a week or 2 weeks before the start of the school year, you could go in, use those credits that you front loaded, and book an artist. And then that session could be recorded, and you can either have your students attend it live or then distribute it to them after the fact, all with the CommonTime platform. And building a cultural connection with a real person is so much more engaging to students than watching a YouTube video, for example. So if your students are interested in this, and if you're interested in doing something innovative, using these artists in this new way is a great way to keep the students engaged over the summer. Likewise, if you are an educator, you can also be an artist. Okay, the main difference is that educators primarily book teaching artists to work with their students, but artists primarily perform sessions and do events. As an educator, you can also sign up as an artist, and you can start hosting events. You can host events yourself where you can say, hey, we're going to do a music tune-up on this day. I've invited this artist, et cetera, et cetera. Now let's move on to our last group of stakeholders here, which are the arts organizations. Many arts organizations really take a lull during this summer. Like we mentioned before, it's the travel, the fact that the students aren't having the same incentive to play their instrument every day, maybe because they're not in school. There may not be dance recitals or concerts happening during the summer. The middle school drama class isn't in session. There's no plays to get ready for. So maybe your community theater troupe isn't as effective during this time. Kids are traveling. Just like the teaching artists, taking your show virtual, taking your offerings virtual is a great way that you can continue to engage students, even with the wishy-washiness of summer travel and their schedules. Like we mentioned before, having 1 week courses, 2 week courses, 1 day courses, all these types of things are a great way for arts organizations to stay active during the summer. As an arts organization, you have the power with CommonTime to host not only live sessions, but also pre-recorded sessions. So any performances that you've had during the year, this will be a great time for you to be selling those recordings on your CommonTime Arts organization page. Even having videos of classes for students to be able to go back and watch, or even for new students to be able to purchase and engage with, is an awesome opportunity, and the CommonTime Arts organization account offers you that. You can let your students and your parishioners even know that the learning and the art doesn't stop just because we're not in our normal swing of things as we would be during the school year. And the CommonTime platform offers, especially for our teaching artists and for our arts organizations, awesome opportunities through pre-recorded content that can be purchased and watched, through live events and sessions that can be streamed, through the ability to make courses and little boot camps and mini camps. There's tons of ways that you can continue to engage your students with the CommonTime platform. So, just like with all the previous Wisdom Wednesdays, this video, as well as an accompanying blog write-up, will be available at commontime.online/blog. As always, I am reachable at michael@commontime.online. You can also interact with the CommonTime team on our Instagram profile, commontime.online, our Facebook profile, CommonTime Online, and right here on LinkedIn at CommonTime Online. This has been another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. Be able to use some of this information from these different perspectives to keep the arts moving even during the summertime. Thank you, and we will see you